if you remember in a previous episode, Michael says to the judge that Phoebe from Friends would be the only friend to make it to the good place. And then here we are, Phoebe, who's played by Lisa Kudrow, is in the good place because Lisa Kudrow is playing Hypatia or Hypatia or...
Is it Hypatia or Hypatia or in the ancient Greek, Hypatia? There's a lot of fun debate about this.
You know what? Just call me Patty.
Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of The Good Place. For those of you who are new to the show, I'm going to give you a quick agenda. First, we start with the potent notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the series or episode. Then I do the episode overview, which is where I talk about everything that happened in the episode. Then I go into the rank, where I rank the episode based on 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to find out what are the best sitcoms of all time. And today we're going to be ranking the 12th episode of the 4th season of The Good Place, titled Patty, written by Megan Amram and directed by Morgan Sackett. Now look, this show has been out for a while, so there are going to be spoilers for this. Buckle up, that's your spoiler warning. But let's find out how this one stacks up, starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
So this episode aired Thursday, January 23rd, 2020, and this was the penultimate episode of the entire series of The Good Place. So the next potent notable here is just kind of a fun one in that, if you remember in a previous episode, Michael says to the judge that Phoebe from Friends would be the only friend to make it to the good place. And then here we are, Phoebe, who's played by Lisa Kudrow, is in the good place because Lisa Kudrow is playing Hypatia or Hypatia or...
Is it Hypatia or Hypatia or in the ancient Greek, Hypatia? There's a lot of fun debate about this.
You know what? Just call me Patty.
Who, by the way, is a real historical figure. She was one of the first female mathematicians whose life was reasonably well recorded. Now, according to The Good Place, the podcast, the writers wanted to include a philosopher as one of the attendees to the party, but needed one that would have met the extremely high and exacting standards of the original point system. And of course, Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle didn't make the cut, as Janet explains in the episode. And then just one last thing here, a nice little callback to a previous episode as well. The sunglasses that magically appear on Eleanor's head are the same pair she was wearing in Mindy St. Clair, the episode from the first season during the flashback scene showing her original cause of death. Just a little bit of fun there. Let's go on to the episode overview. We open the episode with Team Cockroach flying away in the hot air balloon that they left the medium place in the last episode. We get giant flying puppies and a lot of excitement to be going to the good place. And then when they arrive, Janet gets to learn everything about the place and tells them that they can't see all the good place at once because it would literally blow their minds. I mean, she says it'll fry their brains, but same premise. But that when they're ready, they have this welcome party that's designed specifically for them to welcome them to the good place. Now we're gonna get to hear about Jason's innermost desires here, which is apparently riding go-karts with monkeys. That seems like a dangerous proposition to me, but I suppose if you can't die, it's probably fine. It does make me wonder though, do you think you can feel pain up there? I bet you could, but I bet you could make it go away instantly also. But that's not the only thing Jason is hoping to get while he's in the good place. He's also hoping to get brainwaves, because his doctor apparently told him that his brainwaves are as smooth as an egg, which did get me. That's really goofy. Meanwhile, Chidi's whole thing is he just wants to meet an ancient philosopher, but there just aren't many that made it. The only one that they find is Hypatia. Let's go with Hypatia of Alexandria. Meanwhile, Tahani is getting to listen to all the good things that people have said about her behind her back. One of which was from Carly Kloss, apparently. And the reason we know that is because Tahani says, "I knew Carly Kloss liked me." Now, I had no idea who that was. Also, we can chalk that up for another tally of the Tahani name drops. I ended up having to look her up and, it added nothing to my life. Apparently she's a model or something, I guess. No offense to you, Carly. I'm sure you're good at modeling. I just don't care. And while all that is going on, Michael's having an existential crisis because he's like, demons shouldn't be in the good place. Which, he's probably right. But he's worried that they're going to kick him out. Now, Jason, seeing that Michael is feeling anxious about all this, although not really understanding it as Jason often does, he asks Michael, "Do you want me to hold your weed?" Which did get me. Now, in Michael's defense, it is pretty incongruous for a demon to be in heaven, right? at least from what we understand from Heaven and Hell. But not too long later, the Good Place Committee is going to show up and they're going to be like, hey, Michael, you're going to be a good place architect. And by the way, the party's ready for you guys. Now, presumably there's a party for each person individually, but because they walk through together, what we get is like a mashup of all the parties. But here's what I don't understand. How did they get all these people to the party, and how were the people at the party like mashed up? Like Hypatia is wearing Jacksonville Jaguars uniform or whatever. Like, do they not have any free will in heaven? You'd think they could just be like, no, I don't want to wear that. Now we're gonna find out that they're all like sort of slack-jawed morons. So I suppose they could just sort of passively be going through their afterlife existence like that. So I guess that might explain why they just are like, yeah, sure, I'll be wearing Jacksonville Jaguars stuff and be at Jason's welcoming party. I don't know, it just didn't really make sense to me. Not a big deal though. But while Tahani, Jason, Chidi, and Eleanor are whining and dining at their welcoming party, Michael is being initiated as a Good Place architect, only to find out that he was duped. These duplicitous Good Place committee members tricked Michael into becoming the head honcho because they've spent millennia trying to figure out what's wrong with the Good Place and just weren't able to. And while Michael is finding out what's wrong with the Good Place, so are Tahani, Eleanor, and Chidi, and in a different way, Jason. You see, Tahani is going to go around the party chatting up all the people that are already in heaven, and she's going to find out not much going on up in the old noggins. But why was she going around chatting them up? It's not because she's like, just wants some social interactions. It's because Eleanor prompted her to by saying, you should go around and chat everybody up so that we can come back and make fun of them afterward. I mean, that feels like some backsliding. Like, once you get to the Good Place, you just go back to being a dick? Like, maybe they should have made some rules about having to go back out of the Good Place, back to the medium place if you revert to your old, bad self. Anyway, that's how Tahani finds out. Chidi and Eleanor find out because they meet up with Hypatia of Alexandria, played by a dumbfounded Lisa Kudrow, and they're essentially just told by her that shit is bad. What's the problem? Too much of a good thing? Apparently. I mean, you want to talk about privilege. How privileged do you have to be complain about eternal paradise? But the show is going to hammer this point home with Jason. He went through a door where you can basically make all of your wildest dreams come true. And for Jason, that dream was go-karting with monkeys. And when Jason comes back, we find out that he did go-kart with monkeys and then almost instantly got bored of it. And so that, the show wants us to believe, is a microcosm of the problem. If you have whatever you want at your fingertips, it's no longer fun. Now, I'm kind of bashing the premise a little bit here, but I do get it. I don't know that I agree with it, but I understand where they're coming from here, and I'm willing to accept it as a plot. But then we're going to get into a bit of a plot issue. You see, we know the committee has spent millennia trying to fix the problem, mostly with unicorn shit. Even a Hypatia of Alexandria couldn't resolve the issue. But Eleanor Shellstrop, a person who's striving to live up to even just mediocrity, is going to resolve it in 2 seconds. She's going to say, remember back in an earlier episode when I said, without the fear of death, life isn't enjoyable? Well, same problem here. All hail Eleanor. I feel like I need to say that I love this show, but this part wasn't really well done. It makes me think maybe they were hoping to have more seasons to spread this out a little bit. Like maybe it was 3 seasons to get to the Good Place and 2 seasons in the Good Place figuring out how to fix it. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was here. Maybe it was always just going to be a 1-episode arc, but it feels way too quick. Either way though, that's the whole episode. Let's find out how it ranked.
Oh, wait.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before I dive into the rankings here, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help me out. But without further ado, let's go to the first category, which is story. So I really like the story here. They finally get to the Good Place only to discover that too much of a good thing is bad. And an eternity of it is literally stupefying, and they need to fix it. It's too bad they couldn't have had more seasons. It might have been fun to see them have to iterate ideas before they came up with the ultimate winner. But for that reason, I gave it a 5. So let's go to acting. Now, For those of you who've been watching for a while here, you know I love the acting on this show, and this episode's no different. Even though I do think there are some coherence issues here, which we'll get to in episode coherence, Lisa Kudrow is a great addition, and everybody's just fantastic, so I gave it a 5. But that brings us to dialogue. Now, this episode is not a super funny episode. It's still really good. I mean, the writing is still clever and excellent. It just wasn't as funny. It did feel like they were relying a little too much on Jason to provide the levity for this one. And I always feel like when they push too much of like the, look how stupid Jason is, it's just not that great of an episode comedically. Like it's like they lost the clever button. Anyway, I gave it a 3.5. So not a bad score, not as good as it could be. So let's go to episode coherence. So my big problem here is that Eleanor solves the whole good place dilemma in like 10 minutes. Now, this is something that people have been like working on for millennia, but Eleanor gets it in the span of a sitcom episode. I mean, really nobody thought of this before Eleanor Shellstrop of Arizona? That just feels kind of lame. Also, I don't understand how the party would have worked. Because all those people that are at the party have free will. I know I mentioned it and I was like, I'm just going to go with it. But still, you know, it doesn't work for coherence. They don't get to choose what they're wearing. I suppose if their brain is just slush, you know, fine. But it just feels like, why are they there? It seems like the welcoming party should be the good place equivalent of demons, right? So I guess angels. That being said, while that is a huge coherence issue for me, the rest of it is good. So I gave it a 2. So let's go to character relatability, the final category. Now I could be wrong here, but I don't think that I can relate to somebody getting sick of an eternity in paradise. It's not that I can't relate to the premise, it's just that existence continues. You can still learn. Now, if this is presented as you get to know all the secrets of the universe as soon as you get there, and there's nothing left to learn, okay, maybe I'm down for that premise. But I would imagine you could still consume art, entertainment, etc. that gets created on Earth, or continue to create while you're in the good place. Just seems like it really wouldn't be a problem to live forever in paradise. You know, maybe that's just me. As far as the characters are concerned, it's not like what they're doing is completely unrelatable, so I gave it a 3. So that brings us to the laugh counter, and it got me 12 times. Which isn't terrible, but it's not a lot either. So this puts the episode total at a 30.5, which just barely keeps it in the top 3 tiers. In the tier, I'd watch it again. This drops the series average ever so slightly from a 37.8 to a 37.7 and keeps it firmly into the holy grail. Now, if you're ranking along with me, please put your rankings down in the comments, especially your laugh counter. I'm curious to see if we align on this. If you'd like to see other Good Place ranking episodes, you can certainly check out the playlist. We also have other sitcoms and movies you can check out. And if you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankedpodcast.com. Now, for those of you who've been watching for a while and you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and or follow if you're enjoying it. For anybody else out there, or for you guys as well, you can comment or shoot me an email at john@therankedpodcast.com with questions, comments, or suggestions, and I will reach back out to you if you want me to. And please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankedpodcast if you really want to support the show, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. But I will leave you with this. Why can't Hypatia stand pat cake?
Why is that?
This is so stupid. Because she married a baker man named Cake. And now every time someone sings it, she needs therapy.
This is a bad one. The worst yet.
That's bad. But without further ado, no, let me just...
Froze up again.